So, have you ever stopped to think about what happens when you take a leadership philosophy, one that's all about trust and human dignity, and you drop it into, well, one of the toughest places imaginable? We're talking a steel mill, a factory floor, places where the old way of leading has always been about command and control. Let's really dig into what that looks like.
And this quote right here from a plant manager named Rich Bennett, wow, it just paints a picture, doesn't it? For decades, this was the game in so many industries. It was all about survival of the fittest. It created this culture of fear where you did whatever you had to do just to keep your job. That's not leadership, that's just survival.
So that whole eat your young mentality, it doesn't come from nowhere. It's a direct result of a specific leadership style. Let's start there by really understanding this old way of doing things, the one built on pure command and control, a system that frankly often treats people like they're disposable.
I mean, you can just imagine walking into a factory like this, right? You can almost smell the oil and grease in the air. It's loud, it's gritty, and the focus is never on the people. It's on the machines, on the output. In that world, you're not a person with a family and dreams. You're a function, a number on a spreadsheet, a cog in the machine.
You know, a technician named Ron told this story that just perfectly captures it. He said he felt more trusted by the company when he was on a solo business trip in Puerto Rico than he did when he was standing right there in the plant. Back on the floor, he had to punch a time clock 4 times a day. Needed a doctor's appointment, had to get a signature, and of course get docked for the time. A personal call, you gotta wait for a break and use a payphone. This whole system is basically screaming one thing loud and clear: we don't trust you.
Okay, so that's the grim reality of the old way. But what if there's a totally different way to do it, even in a tough manufacturing business? This brings us to a really radical idea, one that challenges everything we just talked about.
And here it is. This is the big one. What if we flip the whole model on its head? Instead of using people to make a product, what if the purpose of the business was to build great people? Now, I know that might sound a little fluffy, but the results? They can be absolutely extraordinary.
This whole philosophy is called truly human leadership, and it totally reframes what it means to be a leader. You're not just a manager of tasks and processes anymore. You're a steward of the actual human lives in your care. Success isn't just about profit margins. It's measured by the positive impact you have on people's lives.
All right, now look at this number, 20%. Just let that sink in for a second. What in the world could that represent? It's not a profit margin, it's not market share, it's something way, way more personal.
That's right, studies have actually shown that the rate of heart attacks spikes by 20% on Monday mornings. Our work environments are literally stressing us to death. And this story from a machinist, it just brings it all home. He said he felt so empty and anxious going to his command and control job that when he got home, he'd throw his hat in the door first. If his family didn't throw it back out, he knew it was safe to go inside. I mean, that's the devastating, real-world cost of a toxic culture.
So how in the world do you fix that? How do you go from a place that causes that much pain to a place where people feel fulfilled? Well, it all starts with a concept that sounds almost impossible on a factory floor: freedom. Now, this isn't about chaos. It's not a free-for-all. It's called responsible freedom. It's about building an environment where people are trusted, truly trusted, to use their talents and make good decisions. It's giving them the freedom to act, but also the responsibility to act in the best interest of everyone. Simply put, it's about treating adults like adults.
And when you put these two approaches side by side, the contrast is it's stark. It's night and day. The old way is all about suspicion and control, with bells and time clocks telling you what to do. Responsible freedom, it's built on a foundation of trust and shared goals. You go from being treated like a function to being treated with dignity, from just following orders to taking real ownership.
Okay, check out this real-life example. There was this old laser cutter that was a huge bottleneck for production. The old way to fix this, management would have done some research and just bought a new one, and probably gotten the wrong one, by the way. But the new way? The machinists, the actual people who use the machine every day, they were given the budget and the authority to find a replacement. So they went to trade shows, they did the research, and they picked the perfect machine. And the result? They took so much pride and ownership in it that their area became a go-to tour stop for visitors, including a Harvard Business School professor who was just completely blown away.
But look, these principles sound great when everything's going well. But what happens when the pressure is really on? Let's walk through a classic, high-stakes dilemma you might find on any factory floor.
All right, imagine this. You're the foreman at a steel mill. The pressure is on. Your biggest, most important client has a critical rush order and has to get out by the end of the day. The success of the plant, maybe even your job,
Feels like it's riding on this one order.
And then, of course, the worst possible thing happens. Your star operator, the one person who can reliably get this complicated job done on time, comes to you and says they have a serious family emergency. They have to leave. Not in an hour. Right now.
So what do? You're completely stuck between a rock and a hard place. The urgent need of the business versus the urgent need of this person. Let's look at how two very different leaders would handle this exact moment.
The command and control foreman, he sees the person as the problem. He'd say something like, "You can't leave. This order is just too important. If it's late, that's on you." In that moment, the employee feels trapped, devalued, and any trust you had is just shattered. But the truly human leader, she sees the person as a person. She'd look at him and say, "Go. Your family is what's important. Is there anything we can do to help?" Now, she doesn't have the magic answer for the rush order, but she trusts her team. And because she shows she genuinely cares, you can bet the rest of the team is going to rally to figure out a solution together. Now, I know what a lot of people are probably thinking right now. That sounds really nice, but this is a business. You can't just let people walk out during a crisis. They think this whole approach is just too soft. But what if caring isn't soft at all? What if it's actually the ultimate competitive advantage?
See, this isn't about being nice for the sake of being nice. It's about being smart. It's smart business. Because when you create an environment where people feel genuinely valued and cared for, they don't just give you their hands, they give you their heads and their hearts. And that unleashes a level of creativity, commitment, and energy that you just can't buy.
In this chart really says it all. When you make employee fulfillment a priority, that first bar there, it doesn't hurt the bottom line. It directly fuels innovation and financial success, as you can see in the other two bars. They're not competing goals that you have to choose between. They're totally interconnected.
And look, these are not just theories. These are tangible results. During the 2008 financial crisis, when all the competitors were doing massive layoffs, this company chose shared sacrifice through furloughs instead. The result? The very next year was a record year in earnings. Because when people know you truly have their back, they will move mountains for you. They innovate, they solve problems, and maybe the best metric of all, they create a place where they'd be proud for their own kids to work one day.
So, we'll leave you with this final thought. Every single business on this planet measures success in some way. But take a hard look at your own workplace. Are you measuring the right things? Are you measuring the things that not only lead to profit, but also allow people to go home at the end of the day feeling valued, respected, and fulfilled? Because at the end of the day, that might just be the most important metric of all.